with injuries throughout his career. He's the NFL's all-time leading rusher in yards by a quarterback. Last season, he ran the ball just 67 times. That's well below his 7-season average of 144 attempts a year. His legs, always a major part of his game. But yesterday, he explained why his rushing workload was down in 2025 and what his role could look like in 2026.
If I was just running hurt, I'm losing yards, things like that was happening. But whatever it takes to win, that's what I'm all about. And I've always been about that, too. So, yeah.
So you think it'll be more in, like, the previous seasons as far as running the ball?
Whatever it takes to win.
Lamar Jackson, just like me, he also wears pimple patches. What do you think the Ravens' ceiling is, Dan, with a healthy Lamar Jackson this year?
We were wondering. We were like, maybe that's a pimple patch or something like that. I've never seen the star version. My kids probably are going to tap into those. With Lamar Jackson healthy, the Baltimore Ravens can get to the Super Bowl. There's no doubt about it. This is a very good football team. I think there are some question marks about the Baltimore Ravens that are fair. It's a new interior offensive line. Ioane looks outstanding. We'll see when real games happen. I think the wide receiver core is probably the biggest question mark for me. This is a wide receiver group that has Zay Flowers, really good player. Bateman, highs and lows both on the field and off the field when it comes to production and availability. Mark Andrews is still Mark Andrews. Outside of that, just receiver. I'm not putting Mark into this conversation. Outside of Zay, your 2 and 3s are questions. Cincinnati doesn't have those. Pittsburgh doesn't have those. The Chargers don't have those. Denver doesn't have that. Buffalo doesn't have that. New England doesn't have that. And so, as great as Lamar is, I think he's carrying, from a pass game perspective, when it comes to those receivers, a bigger burden than all those quarterbacks attached to those teams. So, can they get to the Super Bowl? There's no doubt about it. I just think there's going to be names that we don't know about or champion right now that we will have to in December if that's the case, in January.
So I like their receiver group. I think they have a variety of guys that bring different things to the table. You have the quick jitterbug guy in Zay Flowers. You have, Jacoby Lane, who's 6'4", 210 pounds, that can make the contested catches, be a red zone threat. Rashard Bateman, who can play inside, outside. I do agree with Dan. He has to be a little bit more consistent, but I do like their group. And I think because the Baltimore Ravens and their MO offense, ever since Lamar Jackson has even come to the National Football League, they're going to run the football. They're not going to sit back there with Derrick Henry and say, hey, Lamar Jackson, let's go play 7-on-7. Let's go play, Skelly. Yeah. That's not happening. So that's now going to force more defenders in the box and allow these guys to have those one-on-one opportunities. And when I have a guy with the catch radius, have a young guy in Jacoby Lane with a catch radius that makes a living off contested catches, I'm going to give him that opportunity. Derrick Henry, when training camp started, want to know what he said about Jacoby Lane? Man, the first thing I thought about when I seen Jacoby Lane is DeAndre Hopkins. Oh, and we're talking about a guy who wasn't the greatest route runner, but a great player in this league for a very, very long time and had that catch radius and made contested catches. Lamar Jackson, he's raving about Jacoby Lane as well. Huh? So I think they're going to be okay when it's all said and done. I believe in Jesse Minter getting that defense back on track because he's a communicator, he's a teacher, and he puts guys in positions to have success. So
they're not supposed to be okay.
But here's the thing. What I mean by okay, I'm picking the Baltimore Ravens to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. That's who I'm picking. Okay. What I mean by okay, you got guys at every single level that can make plays. Matabike, you have Trey Hendrickson, you have Roquan Smith, you have Kyle Hamilton in the secondary to go along with Marlon Humphrey and a lot of young other players as well, too. So you look at what Jesse Minter was able to do with the Los Angeles Chargers. You had guys that are 4th, 5th, 6th round, 7th round picks, college free agents that played pivotal roles and played damn well under Jesse Minter. Mm-hmm. Now you go to a place where they have dudes, I think they're going to be that much better.
When I'm looking at Lamar Jackson and being in those meeting rooms and trying to prepare for the drop-back quarterback, the typical drop-back quarterback, the elusive quarterback, I will put him in the top 3 of hardest quarterbacks to prepare for in NFL history. There's no defense, perfect defense you can call. Eventually, your 4 rushers or 5 rushers, if you choose to blitz, somebody's going to get displaced vertically or laterally. He's going to find a hole. He's going to use his legs. He's shown that he can drop back and throw the football with efficiency. I think that something that's not talked about a lot is what do defensive coordinators tell their defense as to a way to stop Lamar Jackson? They're telling their defense to hit him and hit him hard when he gets outside the pocket, because the best way to stop him is for him not to be available. So if he can protect himself, if he can get back to that drop back pass game, if he doesn't take the 15 hits a game, if he just takes it and picks his poison, the 5 to 6, the explosive plays, get outside the pocket, make the spectacular play, and stays healthy for 17 games, the Baltimore Ravens, their ceiling is Super Bowl champion.
Dante, let me ask you this, because you played with a guy in Kaepernick who was a guy that forces defenses to play 11-on-11 football. How difficult is it as a defensive player when now you have to play 11-on-11 football and you have to worry about the quarterback?
It's very difficult because, guys, they play with ego. They want to pass stats. So first and foremost, when you get in that meeting room, you're talking about how to rush him. You can't get past the quarterback at the defensive end position. The defensive tackles, or if you're an internal blitzer, you have to keep lateral separation. You can't try to get too far afield and go and pad your stats. You know what the first thing guys do when they get in the game? They do their best spin move, they get out of place, and then Lamar Jackson is running around, and now it turns into playground football. And you wonder, how did he get outside the pocket and make that big play? Well, we have a bunch of guys out here that can't stay locked in and focus each and every snap, and eventually somebody as elusive as Lamar Jackson is going to hurt you. So if you don't have that type of defense, this is why he has such a competitive advantage over defenses, because there's no perfect defense. There's no perfect call. You have to hope that you get lucky and get him on the ground some plays. So this is why I say if he plays 16, 17 games, they're definitely going to end up in an AFC championship.
Great player. One of the all-time greats already, a Hall of Famer. There's no question that this is a good enough roster to go to the Super Bowl. But as we get into this season, the question will come, mark my words, it is August, whatever, late August. The question will come about, do the Ravens have enough around Lamar Jackson to get to the Super Bowl? Because when you play New England, you're going to see Christian Gonzalez. When you play Denver, you're going to see Patrick Surtain. And at some point, that other receiving option on the perimeter has to, in that conference this year, has to become a threat. And right now, that's an unknown. So is Lamar good enough? He's breathing. Is everybody else around him good enough? That's a big question mark.
And there might be a need for him to run more. I mean, the years that he won the MVP, he ran 176 times in 2019, 148 times in 2023. Clearly, the more he uses his legs too, keeps defenses, as you know all too well, guessing in a big time way.
Yeah.
All right, coming up next, what level of superhuman do the Commanders need Jaden Daniels to be in 2026 to catapult Washington back to the top of the NFC? And the NFL decided to fix their Pro Bowl problem by ending the games altogether. So how does our Pro Bowler, Dante Whitner, feel about this? Keep it locked on First Take.